Hey, Milwaukee JP here. Happy to be back with you for another Milwaukee Sports Minute. We've got a lot going on in the state here. You know the Bucks are locked up 1-1 with the Miami Heat for their first round matchup. You know, I'm on record here saying that this first round wasn't going to be too big of a task to overcome. Anytime you lose your superstar in the first quarter and drop that game one, you know, those thoughts of doubt are going to creep into the back of your mind. But the Bucks were able to kind of clear the skies, right the ship, use whatever euphemism you want. They were able to come away with a victory in game two. Pretty decisive victory as well, 138 to 122. Bucks hit 25 three-point field goals, which ties an NBA playoff record. It really reminds me, if I'm thinking back to game two in 2021 when we were playing the Miami Heat in the first round during our championship run. You know, the Bucks in that second game, they hit 22 three-pointers, and players like Bryn Forbes, which is someone I thought we'd never bring up on this show, but, you know, if you remember that game, he couldn't miss, dropped 22 points in like his limited minutes. So just kind of, you know, reminded me of that game. You know how that season ended, so I'm feeling good about that. But, you know, we had 7 players in double figures last night. You had Brooke, Drew, and Pat Connaughton all over, 20 points. And, a player like Pat, an absolute veteran to step up, when Giannis goes down. And, we've talked in the show how Pat wasn't really getting too many minutes and probably isn't in a rotation that features Giannis. So just knowing that, we got a special guest, Jordy, here joining me for a second. Just knowing that the Bucks have that many players that can come off the bench and really win a game for you. It's to remind you that, the Bucks are the best and deepest team in the NBA. It's crazy these up and down that a series can bring. I really didn't think that we would have this many high-intensity games early on. There is something to be said for overcoming adversity. You have to do it every single championship run in the NBA. And, I think this time when Giannis is out can really help with a player like Chris Middleton, when the Bucks need to lean on him to really wake him up to his old form. Clearly all eyes are on Giannis's health for game 3 tomorrow in Miami. But I think the Bucks probably prepare to stay the course without him. And when I say stay the course, I mostly mean defensively. You're going to double Jimmy Butler again, try to force the ball out of his hands, force the Heat's secondary players to beat you. I'm talking about Max Strus and Duncan Robinson and Kevin Love and Victor Oladipo. Those two aren't what they once were. So those aren't players that are going to be able to beat this Milwaukee Bucks squad. So if you keep playing the defensive side, I think that they can come away with a victory in game 3 again without Giannis again. If he chooses to rest a little longer, it's strange how quickly you can be reminded how up and down these series can come. You can go from having the most confidence to gloom and despair, and right back to like I said, cloudy skies or whatever euphemism you want to use. But can't wait for that game tomorrow and the series going forward. But we got other exciting things going on too. The Brewers are off to an incredible start. They are 14-5 overall. Just got done with one of those long West Coast trips with those late night games that I know not a lot of us can stand. And historically, those West Coast trips have really given the Brewers problems. They were able to go out there and take 7 of 10 games, win games in many different fashions. That's really what I think has been most exciting about this team early. You're seeing such a change from last year, and just not only makeup of the lineup, but just in the way that this team is trying to manufacture runs. There was a game against the Padres last week where we defeated Yu Darvish, clearly a long-term ace in this league. And the only run was, Garrett Mitchell essentially infield hit to first, got to second on a technicality with the new rules, stole third, and then was able to come in on a sac fly. And, that's just not a way the Brewers were winning games last year. So a combination of that speed and timely hitting, it's just been a fun team to watch so far. And here's my question to you Brewer fans. At what point are we ready to admit that Yelich is starting to look like his old self? You're really starting to see signs. Now, I know that average really isn't where you want to see it or what you think of when you're thinking of like MVP version of Yelich in the 300 range. But he's driving the ball to opposite field. He's hitting for some power. Really, what has impressed me has been his pitch selection. In the past, I've been critical about the lower, in the strike zone or out of the zone that he would swing at and either swing and miss over the top or roll over the ball to second base. And that was really, I think, what was kind of hurting his numbers overall. So good to see him back on the right path. This new schedule for Major League Baseball, I've been really enjoying it. If you're someone like me that has aspirations to kind of make it to a lot of ballparks, with the way the schedule used to be, you were only seeing a team like Boston every 3 or 4 years, which means you were only going to Fenway every 6 years. That just doesn't give you a lot of opportunities. And there were just a lot of teams that, and talent in baseball that we just weren't seeing. And now, we have a series against Boston today. We just got done in Seattle. Ohtani and the Angels are coming to town next week. Outside of all of the in-game changes that they've made to the rules, with the base size and the pitch clock and all of that, I think what's being a little overshadowed is how great this new schedule is and how it just really increases the competitiveness in the league. It's great to see. So game kicking off here in a couple hours. Fastball Freddy back on the mound. He is trying to right the ship after he got beat up a little bit in his last start against the Padres. All of his RBIs in that last, or all of his earned runs, in that last game that he was on the mound came with 2 outs. So tonight we're really looking for him to close innings strong, not allow the team to hit those runs. When he gets into the stretch with people on base, we want to make sure he's closing those out. A lot of good things happening. I'm heading to the ballpark tonight. If you see me down there, please come up. Talk to me about sports. That's why I'm doing this. I want to meet the fans of the teams that I'm a fan of. So, like always, if you haven't yet, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. We're going to be here with you all season. It's going to be a long, great summer as far as, Bucks playoffs leading into late season for the Brewers. There's a lot going on. So, brighter days are ahead in Milwaukee. Can't wait to be here with you for them.